Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got your Week 12 waiver wire video, and it is Thanksgiving week, so there are a lot of games on Thursday. There is a Black Friday game, which is interesting, and then of course your Sunday and Monday. So a lot of great games. There are no teams on a bye, but there were some injuries that have happened over the weekend, and there's some teams that have obviously performed really well and players that I think you should consider grabbing. So make sure you guys smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we're going to jump right into it. Now, the first player I'm going to mention is going to be Kyler Murray versus the Rams. He's available in 23% of most leagues. Kyler Murray had another solid fantasy outing, putting up 23 points in a second straight game with a rushing touchdown. Now, he finished as QB6 in his second start, which is huge news for him. He's got a really good matchup for Week 12 against a really poor Rams defense. Now, 23% is a lot, right? Most likely he's picked up in your league, but the reason I mentioned him is because there's still 23% of leagues that have him available. You should consider grabbing him if he is out there. Now, another quarterback I'm going to mention is going to be Jordan Love versus the Lions. He's available in 54% of most leagues. 2 weeks in a row, Love has finished with 22 fantasy points, and in those two games has averaged 305 passing yards with 4 touchdowns combined. He has a great playoff schedule coming up and a great Lions matchup for Thanksgiving where he should have another solid outing. Last matchup he played against the Lions early in the season, he had 20 fantasy points. So again, really good matchup, really good fantasy matchup for the playoffs this upcoming season. So again, Jordan Love may not be the guy for the Packers that everyone's hoping he was, but as far as fantasy, he's doing a pretty good job. He's getting those fantasy points. Now, another quarterback I'm going to mention is going to be Sam Howell versus the Cowboys. He's available in only 21% of most leagues, but he's still out there. Even with the 3 interception performance against the Giants, which was crazy to me, Howell still finished as QB10 with 22 fantasy points. Still, even with the bad performance that he had, his rushing touchdown helped, obviously, in that performance, but Howell is still currently QB4 for the season, and yet there's still 21% of leagues who are not even trying to pick him up. I don't know if it's because of the name. I don't know what the situation is, but he is performing well in fantasy. Who cares who he plays for? Who cares how his actual team is performing? As long as he's putting up those fantasy points, he should be rostered. Now, he does have a tough matchup in Week 12, and obviously we're not talking start and sits, but again, Howell should be on a roster. Now, my number one waiver wire ad has to be Zach Charbonnet versus the 49ers. He's available in 56% of most leagues. Now, Charbonnet already was seeing an increase in touches and was out snapping Kenneth Walker in the last 3 games, but with the injury to Kenneth Walker with his oblique, puts Charbonnet absolutely into the lead spot with DJ Dallas behind him. There isn't an announcement yet as far as how long Kenneth Walker could be out, but one of the fantasy YouTube channels I do watch is the Fantasy Doctors, who is great. Make sure you guys follow him. Dr. Morse believes it's at least a 2 to 3 week outing. Could be sooner, but 2 to 3 week outing is what he's expecting based off the injury and how severe it looked for him. So again, Charbonnet is probably the number one waiver wire ad because you're getting a back that, could be a league winner, right? He's got a horrible matchup for Week 12, but he may have some value for you. So again, make sure you're grabbing him. Another running back is going to be Devin Singletary versus the Jaguars. He's available in 19% of most leagues. So again, not a lot of availability, but he's still out there. Now, I mentioned Singletary last week as a good waiver wire ad, and yet he's still available, which is kind of surprising. He should be a lot less than 19% available. He was RB3 the week before, and then this past weekend's RB8 with 2 games of back-to-back over 100 yards and a rushing touchdown. Now, at this point, Dameon Pierce has been out. I think even with Dameon Pierce coming back, Devin Singletary is pretty much shored up the RB1 spot going forward. And again, he's got a really good schedule coming up as far as playoffs, go with fantasy. So Singletary, if he's out there, grab him. He is going to help you win this season. Now, another running back is Kyren Williams versus the Cardinals. Now, he's coming back from IR. He's available in 13% of most leagues, so not as available. But for those who couldn't hold on to him or just didn't feel like keeping him on their IR spot, Kyren Williams was probably dropped in someone's league, and before the injury, he was averaging a touchdown a game and had a couple 100-yard games. He was the clear-cut RB1 for the Rams. Now, we'll see how this plays out with him coming back in. Obviously, Henderson's probably going to get involved. Maybe Royce Freeman. I don't know. I don't know how the Rams are going to play this out, but he is expected to be back. And again, if he does get back into the RB1 role, he's a starting back that might be available on waivers. Make sure you look for him and grab him. Now, the last running back I'm going to mention is A.J. Dillon. He's going against the Lions this week. He's available in 38% of most leagues. Now, A.J. Dillon is not someone everyone is going to go after, which I get. He did not perform well with Aaron Jones out. And Aaron Jones is hurt again, and who knows what this injury looks like. I haven't heard any news about it. I don't know the extent of it. But if Aaron Jones is out again, Dillon obviously becomes RB1 for the Packers. No, he had not performed very well, but he might be somebody you may want to consider grabbing because maybe he's a flex play. Maybe you're hurting at running back and you're desperate to get somebody. A.J. Dillon is definitely someone you may want to consider. Now, wide receiver, I've got Tank Dell versus the Jaguars. He's available in only 16% of most leagues, but he's still out there. Now, we're talking 3 weeks in a row where Tank has scored at least 1 touchdown. And I know a lot of people are still unsure if they should start Tank. I get that question all the time. Oh, should I put Tank Dell in? At this point, his boom play is something you're going to ride or die with. Like, he should be in your starting lineup every single week, even if it's just for a flex play. He finished as wide receiver 3 with 29 points. 2 weeks ago, he had 29 points, and now has a Jaguars matchup where earlier this year, he put up 20 points, which was his welcome to the NFL moment for him. So again, great matchup. He's putting up big numbers. Him and CJ Stroud are absolutely connected. 16% is just unacceptable. Make sure you look out in waivers. He may be there for you. Now, another receiver is going to be Jayden Reed versus the Lions. He's available in 64% of most leagues. Now, Jayden Reed in 2 weeks in a row has finished as our wide receiver 11. Part of it's been in the air. Part of it's been on the ground. But he's actually benefiting a lot with how poorly Christian Watson has been this season. Jayden Reed is definitely feeding off those opportunities. He's got a great rapport with Jordan Love. He's not getting force-fed a lot of targets. It's still Watson and Dobbs. They're the top 2 receivers. But Jayden Reed's being put in positions to score, being in positions to make big plays, and that's what the Packers are using him for. So again, as far as opportunities, not as many, but he's got a lot of that big boom play. So he's a nice, solid flex play. He's definitely a DFS play for anybody who does daily fantasy sports. Like, he's definitely a play that you could get because he's cheap, and again, might have that big boom. I like him a lot. Again, only available in 64% of most leagues. So he may be somebody you want to put for the rest of the season. Now, Odell is my other receiver. Odell Beckham had a great game on Thursday night, even with all the chaos that happened with injuries. Now, he's going against the Chargers, which are obviously a really good matchup. He is dealing with an injury, so we'll see what this looks like for the rest of the week. But he's available in 71% of most leagues. And with Mark Andrews going down, Odell might be the guy who takes, gets some of the benefits, right? Like, he's up and down, right? There's 1 week he's getting 7 targets, then he's getting 3. Then he's getting another 7 targets, getting 2. Now he's getting 7 targets. So the consistency obviously isn't there, but he just had his best game with 116 yards. He had a touchdown. And if his targets start to increase because of what happened with Mark Andrews, then you've got a nice wide receiver 2 flex play receiver that should be rostered. And if you look at his matchup, he's got a great matchup against the Chargers. And then from week 15 on, the rest of the season during the fantasy playoffs, he's got a great schedule. So again, he's got an opportunity to he might win some games for you guys if he's, on your roster. So make sure you grab him. Now, as far as the tight end, Trey McBride, he didn't have the opportunities that I had hoped he would have. He's available in 20% of most leagues going against the Rams this week. Now, he still saw 7 targets. He still finished his tight end 10, which is kind of, surprising with his 9-point performance. But he's still continuing to be fed in these targets and opportunities. So again, as far as a tight end role, he could still finish as tight end 1 because of the targets he's receiving. Kyler Murray still likes throwing to him. And the fact that he's 20% still available, make sure you check out your waivers. He may be there for you, especially if you're desperate at tight end. Now, another tight end you might want to consider is Pat Freiermuth. He's going against the Bengals this week. He's available in 47% of most leagues. Muth is back from IR and has a chance to turn around some of those who have been holding on to him for the rest of the season. Now, his first game was not great, and I know the quarterback play with Pickett is not great as well, so there is some concern there. But if Muth is a top 10 tight end in this NFL, and if he can get some of that rapport back with Kenny Pickett, and Kenny Pickett starts to perform a little bit better, just a little bit, then you might have a tight end that's going to help you win some games, especially if you're a team that is maybe hurt with injuries, right? You lost Waller, you lost Goddard, you lost, obviously Mark Andrews over there's teams that are going to need a tight end. Pat Freiermuth is somebody you may want to consider grabbing, especially since he's available in 47% of most leagues. Now, the tight end most people are probably going to go after is Isaiah Likely. He's going against the Chargers. He's available in 97% of most leagues. And with that devastating injury to Mark Andrews, that puts Likely at the tight end 1 spot for the Ravens. Now, Do I expect him to have any close performances like Mark Andrews? No. But there were showings of it last year. Isaiah Likely filled in with Mark Andrews last season and had some good matchups and some good games. And he did okay, right? Like he had some top 10 performances every once in a while, but he's not Mark Andrews. And this is going to be a big hit for the Baltimore Ravens. But I do expect Ravens to trust Likely, give him opportunities, throw it to him. And again, production-wise, if he gets you double-digit performance week in and week out, that's all you're looking for out of your tight end when it comes to this, because there's only, again, maybe 2 or 3 tight ends that are really good in this league and as far as fantasy goes. So again, Isaiah Likely is your probably highest rated waiver this week for the tight end. And again, probably your second highest behind Zach Charbonnet. So those are my week 12 waiver wire grabs you got to get. If you guys do have questions of who you should be picking up or dropping, hit us up in the comments down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button. Stay tuned for our start and sit videos. We'll be dropping those soon because obviously there's games Thursday. We want to make sure those are available for you guys. And if you guys haven't, make sure you guys are following us on X and Instagram, and I'll check you guys out next time.